Have you ever stood at the mirror, lifted your roots, tilted your head, and thought, where did my hair go? Maybe it used to feel full and springy, and now it lies flat, parting a little wider than it used to, revealing scalp you never noticed before. That tiny shock in the morning can feel bigger than it looks. It's not just hair, it's how you show up to the world. If that lands for you, stay close. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 simple, strategic steps that make thin hair look intentional, polished, and beautifully you, without fighting your texture, and without pretending it's still 1993. Welcome to Golden After 60, a warm corner of the internet for women who refuse to become invisible. Today isn't about chasing thickness you don't have. It's about using smarter choices to get the lift, lightness, and movement you can have every single day. For years, the beauty world told us to pile on more teasing, more mousse, more heat, more layers. But thin, mature hair doesn't thrive on more, it thrives on precision. If you've been trying to recreate the hair you had at 30, you may be accidentally making it look thinner now, because the tricks that once added fullness often add weight and clump, which collapse, lift, and spotlight the scalp. Here's a quick truth that sets you free. Fine and thin aren't the same. Fine refers to the diameter of each strand. Thin refers to density, how many strands you have. Many of us after 60 have a bit of both. The winning strategy isn't to fake bulk. It's to create the illusion of lightness and lift with the right length, low contrast color, root-first styling, and featherlight finishes. Our game plan is clear. Strategic cut and shape so hair lifts instead of droops, dimensional color and gray blending to soften scalp contrast, lift and movement styling that's root-focused and cool to set, and finishes, tools and day 2 revival so your style holds without helmet hair, plus scalp care and lifestyle choices that keep follicles happy and volume alive. I'll share real mini makeovers, the why behind each step, and gentle mindset shifts that make thin hair styling feel liberating, not exhausting. If you're new here, consider subscribing to Golden After 60 so you won't miss what's next. Let's begin. Step 1, the strategic cut. Length, layers, and soft texture that work with your hair. The mission with thin hair is simple. Take off the weight that drags everything flat while keeping enough edge so your hair reads as present, not wispy. That starts with length. For most women noticing thinning, the sweet spot lies between the chin and the collarbone. It's long enough to feel feminine and versatile, but short enough to stop gravity from pulling strands tight to the scalp. Hair that falls well past the collarbone can still work beautifully, but only if your density supports it and you're open to adding internal structure so it doesn't collapse. Layers are where thin hair either wins or loses. Big, choppy tiers carve holes that make the hair look stringy. What you want instead is subtle, strategic shaping that frames the face, lifts the crown, and keeps the perimeter substantial so your ends don't disappear. Think soft pieces that skim the cheekbones and jawline, with quiet support at the crown to help the top read fuller without spikes or obvious stacking. Many stylists explain this with elevation. Cutting higher up removes weight where you need lift, while lower elevation preserves fullness along the edge. On fine or low-density hair, a balanced elevation with gentle graduation at the perimeter creates movement without sacrificing the line. End texture is the finishing touch. Avoid heavy use of thinning shears. They can shred your outline and leave flyaway, see-through tips. Ask for point cutting or slide cutting at the very ends to blur a blunt edge and create the illusion of airy fullness, so the hair looks soft and intentional rather than frayed. If you're picturing shapes, a soft layered bob anywhere from jaw to collarbone is universally kind, especially with delicate cheekbone layers and a hint of crown lift. A side-swept pixie with a longer fringe gives structure at the sides and youthful softness across the forehead, wonderful for very low density. A chin-length blunt with internal softness keeps an assertive perimeter while letting the inside breathe. And a lob shag hybrid, the Shag Light, sits at the shoulder with blended, wispy face-framing pieces that embrace your natural bend. I think of Mary, 66, who was convinced long hair was the only way to feel feminine, yet her length hung flat and exposed scalp at the crown. We moved her to a collarbone bob with invisible crown support and soft face framing. A week later she texted, "I don't hide from my mirror anymore. I see me." When you book your next cut, come prepared. Bring photos of shapes you love, not just a number in inches, so your stylist can see proportion and movement. Ask for a perimeter that stays present rather than ends that are shredded thin. Request face framing that lifts instead of long, heavy curtains that drag your features downward. Confirm how they plan to support the crown subtly, and schedule trims every 8 to 10 weeks so the architecture holds. This is how a haircut becomes a foundation, light, lifted, and designed to work with your hair, not against it. Step 2. Dimensional color and gray blending. Depth without harsh contrast. Dimensional color and gray blending is all about creating depth without drawing a spotlight to your scalp. The simplest way to think about it: keep your overall shade within about 2 levels of your natural color, then build quiet dimension on top. When hair and scalp sit at opposite ends of the contrast spectrum, jet black dye over a naturally light scalp, or icy bleach over a warm-toned scalp, the scalp becomes a bright background, so every part and gap looks wider. That's why thin hair can appear even thinner after dramatic color changes. We're not chasing shock value, we're shaping light so the eye reads fullness, softness, and movement. The smarter approach for mature, thin hair starts with restraint. Ask your colorist to stay close to your natural level and to layer in low-contrast dimension. Micro highlights and micro lowlights so fine they read as a whisper, not stripes. A soft melt or root smudge allows your natural root to blend into your chosen tone, keeping grow out gentle and avoiding that solid, opaque helmet. If you're wearing your gray with pride, you can still add sophistication by weaving in lowlights just 1 shade deeper than your silver. That tiny shift creates contour the way subtle bronzer does for the face. A clear, lightweight gloss can add slip and soft shine without weighing hair down, helping strands reflect light like silk instead of sitting matte and flat. I think of Elaine, 72, who loved her silver but felt it looked lifeless on camera. We didn't change her identity, we refined it. A pearl gray gloss gave her hair a liquid sheen, and a few smoke-top lowlights beneath the part and near the nape added quiet shadow where she needed depth. Her husband asked if she'd gotten a haircut. She hadn't. She'd simply gained dimension. Elaine laughed and said, "My hair looks like silk, not steel." At home, protect your lift by keeping products featherlight. Use a pea-sized drop of Shine Serum, spread across your palms and skimmed over mid-lengths and ends only, never the roots. Choose volumizing shampoo and conditioner. If your hair craves moisture, confine richer formulas to the bottom third. Rinse thoroughly every time because residue equals droop. When color is close, dimensional, and lightweight, thin hair stops shouting and starts whispering elegance. Step 3. Lift and movement styling. Root first, cool to set, minimal product. Think of this step as teaching your hair where to live. The goal isn't bulk or crunchy helmet volume. It's clean lift at the roots and soft movement through the lengths so your hair looks intentional and touchable. Start right after you shower with towel-blotted hair that's damp, not dripping. Work a dime-sized amount of lightweight root lift mousse or spray only at the scalp where lift happens. Then smooth a pea of heat protectant through the mid-lengths and ends so they stay flexible. Flip your head and rough dry with your fingers until you're about 70 to 80% dry. This pre-lifts the base without over-brushing or smashing the cuticle flat. Now give the roots their marching orders. Take small sections, set a round brush under the base, and lift straight up while your dryer follows from roots toward ends. The secret is the pause. Hold the section and let it cool before you release. Hair's hydrogen bonds reset as it cools, which is exactly when your lift sets and lasts. Move around the head with patience, roots first always, because what happens at the base decides whether your style survives the afternoon. Keep the ends light and airy. Instead of curling under into a solid bubble, add only a slight bend so the perimeter floats. You're aiming for movement, not a perfect roll. If your hair is naturally wavy or curly, swap the round brush for a diffuser on low. Lift at the roots with your fingers, let the waves form, and finish with a cool shot to lock in shape. For separation, scrunch a whisper of airy foam through the mid-lengths down, keeping products away from the scalp. Rosa, 64, used to watch her blowout collapse by lunch. We didn't change her products, we changed her sequence. More time at the root, less on the ends, and a strict cool down on every section. At 6 p.m., she texted a quick elevator selfie. Still up, still soft. To keep yours that way, try 2 tiny refreshers. Midday, mist the roots with water, give a brief warm blast at the base only, then seal with cool, hands not brush. On day 2, micro-mist a texturizing spray onto your palms, not your hair, and pat it into the mid-lengths and ends for gentle separation that looks effortless, never stiff. Step 4, finishes, tools, and day 2 survival. Hold the lift, keep the air. The finish is where thin hair either stays buoyant or collapses into stiffness. Your mission now is to preserve that airy shape without adding crunch, film, or dull residue. Think of this step as setting the scaffolding at the roots while keeping the lengths light, touchable, and able to move. Small, precise moves beat heavy-handed sprays every time. Start by targeting hold exactly where it counts, the root. Lift a thin veil of hair at the crown, keep the can about 6 inches away, and miss the base only. Let the section fall and resist the urge to shellac the surface. Root-focused hold anchors lift from underneath, so your ends stay soft and your crown doesn't deflate by lunchtime. Next, build texture with your hands instead of coating the hair. Spray a little dry texturizer into your palms. Rub to distribute, then press and scrunch through the mid-lengths and ends. This creates separation and a natural, lived-in movement without that gritty, over-styled feel. You're aiming for air and definition, not volume glued into place. If you like shine, treat it like jewelry, last, and very little. Warm a micro drop of serum between your palms and float it over the outer surface only. Keep it far from the root, where oil and weight sabotage lift. One pass too many and you're back to flat, so stop the second it looks satiny. A tiny mini kit makes all the difference on busy days. Keep a travel texturizing spray to revive ends and coax day 2 lift, a small root clip to park at the crown while you do makeup, remove and fluff for instant height, and a fold-flat microfiber blotter to tap away scalp oils before they steamroll your style. Gwen, 70, used to carry a brush and fuss constantly. We swapped that brush for a mini texturizer and a crown clip. Her verdict after a week: I touch my hair less and it looks better longer. The change wasn't magic, it was strategy and restraint. Finish with accessories that look intentional, not apologetic. Slim headbands amplify height without swallowing your frame. Choose matte neutrals by day, satin, or velvet at night. A silk scarf tied bandana style reads chic and deliberate. And for evening, a sleek, combed back moment with a pea of lightweight serum is pure confidence. Elegant, polished, and never about hiding. Step 5, scalp care and lifestyle. Keep follicles happy, keep volume alive. The goal: treat your scalp like skin and your hair like a light textile, so roots stay buoyant, ends stay smooth, and the whole style lasts longer with less effort. Think clean plus calm plus low tension. A healthy-looking style starts at the scalp. Switch to lukewarm, not hot, water, keep showers brief, and focus shampoo where it belongs, on the scalp, then rinse thoroughly. Work a conditioner only through mid-lengths and ends so you don't collapse lift at the root. If you love clarifying shampoos, use them sparingly. Overuse can leave the scalp parched and reactive. Hard water can worsen dryness and dullness, so if your area is mineral-heavy, consider a simple shower filter. And one more silent saboteur: blasting your scalp with high heat. Use moderate heat and a bit of distance from the dryer to protect your scalp barrier and preserve natural lift. Hormonal shifts after 50 can change sebum, texture, and density, which is why the routine that worked at 40 may suddenly fail you. Menopause can bring both unwanted facial hair and scalp thinning, two sides of the same hormonal coin, so be kind to yourself and update your habits rather than doubling down on old ones. If you're seeing accelerating shedding or widening parts, loop in a dermatologist. Personalized care beats guesswork. Daily micro-rituals help more than hero products. Give yourself a 1-minute scalp massage with fingertips, not nails, to nudge circulation before styling. Blot, don't rub with microfiber. Sleep on a satin pillowcase to cut friction, and think low tension all day. Swap tight elastics for covered scrunchies and avoid styles that tug. Long-term pulling can cause traction loss at the hairline and crown, so comfort counts. If you want evidence-based add-ons, there are medical options to discuss with your doctor. For women with pattern thinning, topical minoxidil has supportive data. Some people also explore low-level laser therapy at home. Results vary and expectations matter, but both are part of many dermatologists' toolkits. Start with medical guidance. Keep your scalp clean so topicals can penetrate, and judge any device by consistency you can maintain, not hype. Finally, remember product weight is the enemy of lift. Lightweight leave-ins on the bottom third, root-only volumizer, and a cool shot to set, shape give you that clean, airy finish. Then your cut and color can do the heavy lifting visually. Treat the scalp kindly, style the roots smartly, and your hair will repay you in buoyant, believable volume. Thin hair doesn't need to pretend, it needs to look on purpose. The moment you stop asking, "How do I hide this?" and start asking, "How do I shape and light this?" everything softens, your expression, your routine, even the way your hair falls. Think lift and movement rather than big, bulky volume. Keep color contrast gentle, texture soft, and products feather light at the roots so nothing collapses. Choose cuts that reduce weight on top and preserve density at the perimeter. Exactly the balance that works best for fine, low-density hair. I watched this mindset free my own mother. When her scalp began to show, the fix wasn't a drawer of wigs or an ink-dark dye job. It was a collarbone cut with quiet crown support, a pearly smoke gloss that caressed her silver, and a root-first blow-dry that took 10 minutes instead of 30. Her hair didn't magically thicken, she felt lighter, and the mirror finally agreed. Think of hair like a lightweight textile. Each strand is a delicate fiber, and when you load it with heavy creams and oils, the fibers clump together. Clumps reflect light unevenly, show separation, and go limp faster, which is why thin hair often looks better with airy leave-ins and precise placement rather than blanket moisture. Hydrogen bonds are your everyday superpower. They loosen when hair is wet and reset as it dries and cools into shape. That's why the cool-to-set pause after you lift the roots matters so much. The shape isn't earned until the section cools. Rush that step and you're guaranteeing a midday collapse. Your eye follows continuous lines. Low contrast, uninterrupted shapes read as longer and more refined, while harsh breaks, like stark root-to-scalp contrast or ends curled under into a hard bump, shorten the silhouette. Gentle V's, soft bends, and tonal color keep the gaze moving up and down. Elevation changes weight distribution in the cut. Higher elevation removes top weight for lift. Maintaining the perimeter keeps ends looking substantial instead of wispy. For fine or thinning hair, that balance, air above, presence below, is the quiet geometry that makes styles hold, move, and photograph beautifully. Can I keep long hair if it's thin? You can, if your density truly supports it and you're willing to build the right architecture. That means soft internal shaping to relieve weight at the crown, face-framing pieces that lift the cheekbones, and a disciplined root routine so your base doesn't collapse by noon. The second your ends turn see-through, length starts working against you by advertising sparseness. A smart compromise is a length that lands between the collarbone and the top of the chest, with subtle graduation and regular micro trims so the perimeter stays present and doesn't fray. Do bangs help or hurt? Heavy, blunt fringe can swallow precious density and make the front look blocky. A side-swept bang or wispy curtain fringe is much kinder to thin hair because it adds softness, guides the eye to your eyes, and keeps the perimeter intact. If you wear glasses, ask your stylist to float the fringe just above the frames so it doesn't fight for space. Plan on light texturizing for movement and trims every 4 to 6 weeks so the shape doesn't slump. What about thickening fibers or powders? They're great for special moments. Think photos, bright lights, or a wide part that needs quick camouflage, but placement matters. Tap them into the part line and crown, not the hairline, so they don't read chalky up close. Choose a shade that matches your root, mist a touch of hairspray first for grip, then apply sparingly. At day's end, cleanse thoroughly. Residue builds weight and weight flattens lift. My hair gets frizzy if I don't coat it in serum. Trade heavy oils for a lightweight leave-in milk on the bottom third only, then finish every blow dry with a cool shot to help the cuticle lie flat. Blot with microfiber, not terry. Sleep on a satin pillowcase. And if you need extra polish, use a pea-sized gloss skimmed over the surface. Keep Roots product light so your lift survives. You might feel frustrated by changes you didn't ask for, and that's real. But thin hair styled well beats thin hair styled to look thick every time. Let it be what it is, lighter, airier, softer, and build a routine that honors that. I'll never forget a woman in her early 70s who walked on stage in a simple navy dress and a delicate, face-framing cut. Her hair wasn't big. It was right for her. She stood tall, smiled, and the room leaned in. That's the power of intention. Final word, you are not your hair, but it can absolutely help you shine. Your worth isn't measured by a strand count. It isn't defined by diameter, density, or the way your part looks under bright light. These 5 steps are simply instruments, like a favorite lipstick or a well-cut jacket, to help your outer self reflect the confident, warm, deeply experienced woman you already are. You deserve to feel beautiful when you catch your reflection. You deserve to take up space, to be seen, and to be celebrated. If today's guide gave you a spark of clarity, I'd be honored to welcome you to the Golden After 60 family. Gently tap subscribe, give this video a like if it helped, and tell us in the comments one small change you'll try this week. Your idea might be the nudge another woman needs right now. I believe in your beauty. I believe in your presence. And I believe your thin hair can look purposeful, elegant, and wonderfully you starting today. Keep your head high, your shoulders soft, and your heart open. The rest will follow.